Hello, hello. Welcome to the Daily Dose, Extracting the Medicine. Today is all about listening to yourself. Are you listening to yourself? You know those little voices you hear, nudges you know, and then you just ignore them? Or you might listen to them but then forget? And this is what happened this morning. I was going for a run. I was doing about a 6-mile trail run this morning. And I remember meeting up with my partner and saying to myself, hearing this voice in my head say, be silent. It was early in the morning. Be silent. Don't talk today. And then we go and we're running and it was really hard. And I was like, trudging up the hills. It was very rocky and hilly. And we started chatting and then we were quiet and then we were chatting. And I was just like totally out of it. And very little sleep last night. And I ended up falling and like cutting myself. And I've only fallen once in my very long life of running or hiking even. I've only fallen once, and this was like a fall. And then I was like, whoa, okay, kind of really ungrounded. And so I come back into my center and I know where I am in my cycle. And I know this is the week in my cycle where I'm always the least balanced. And there's a full moon. And when I'm in this part of my cycle and it's the full moon, I always know there's a protocol. And so this is really about listening. And then I fell again later in the run when I was talking again. And I was we're tracking our miles and stuff. So we have this GPS thing on, which I've never used to do ever. And I've usually just run by myself solo. So I'm quiet. And so and then I fell again. And it was like, oh my gosh, such medicine. So this is the gift of, and the how to extract the medicine. When you fall, when you hurt yourself, oh, this didn't happen to me. This happened for me. And not only that, this happened through me. And so I'm also going to share a little tidbit of how I look at our programming, but that in 1 second. So how to listen to that little voice, when it's there, it's a voice, it's on purpose. You all must know that time where you hear yourself and you're like, oh my God, I totally knew that was going to happen. Like you put something down, you see it falling, but you put it there anyway. And like 10 minutes later, it falls, but you didn't listen to it. You didn't ignore the message that it was going to fall. That's intuition. That is the beginning use of intuition. And when we can really always listen, we are fine-tuning our muscle of intuition and our power of what I call conscious influence, because we're always influencing our outcomes, either positively, negatively, or neutrally, and very rarely neutrally, unless we're doing it intentionally. And so therefore, be mindful of listening to that inner voice and how we express it outward. So this is a little tidbit I want to give you on, in the Evolve program, we work with a process called the Higher Purpose Spectrum. And in the Higher Purpose Spectrum, I'm just going to give you a tidbit of this, but it's a beautiful opportunity to look at how are you creating. We are either programmed creators, and that's when we're really in our identity. And there's a whole lot of information we can look at there, and how do we discern, and when do we want to be in that place and when don't we? And then there are all those traps we fall back into when we go back to our identity after we've stepped out of it into our purpose. So the second place, on one end of the spectrum is this programmed identity creator. And then we are in our purpose, we're like aiming for something more. So we step into purpose. My purpose is, and here we are heart-centered. We are listening to ourselves. We are intuition. We are empathy. We are all these wonderful things. And this is where we all want to be, right? And then now that we've all gotten here, what's next? What's next is higher purpose. And this is where we become quantum creators. We are like the whole gambit. We are creating from our higher purpose is a place we're coming from. It's not a thing that is mine, like my higher purpose is. No, it's a place that we're creating from, we're being from. And so we're being in. And so, when we're listening to ourselves, this is intuition. And we are heart-centered, like that's where we're listening. And when we're in that place of higher purpose, we're like getting messages from everywhere. And so the goal is to be able to play with all three of these places, and there's many spectrums in between, and bounce between them when you need to, on call, on speed dial, and tap into the gifts of each one. So if this is landing for you, I'd be really curious to hear what it's sparking for you. Have you ever listened to yourself, but then not listened to yourself and experience the ramifications? And also, if you're curious about learning more about the higher purpose spectrum and unlocking higher purpose, you can go to unlockinghigherpurpose.com and sign up for that free 6-part mini series delivered right to your inbox. And you can just dive into more juicy stuff, and reach out to me at my website, stephanietraeger.com, for more information. Okay. I'd love to hear how this lands. And if it was something interesting for you, please share. Thank you.